The scene opens with a strange tension in the air, people staring in disbelief, whispering, pointing, as if they can't quite process what's unfolding before their eyes. And there she stands, our female protagonist, frozen in place, utterly lost in the chaos, her mind spinning as she tries to figure out how on earth all of this even happened. A golden-haired man steps forward, his aura practically glowing under the light. He takes her hand with elegance and kisses, eyes gleaming with that overly confident charm, as if the whole world revolves around her. Another man soon arrives, cutting through the moment, his tone teasing and amused. He says that not only is she beautiful, but also far too interesting for her own good, casually calling her Christina. Before she can even process that, yet another man appears, dramatically announcing that he knows her because, apparently, he's her younger brother. Poor Christina stands there like, wait, what? Everything feels painfully awkward, like she just walked into the middle of someone else's drama. Then, the atmosphere shifts again. A man wearing a hero's face, strong, calm, the type who looks like he stepped straight out of a fantasy poster, steps forward. His name is Cedric. He reaches out toward her, and before she can even ask for help, he effortlessly lifts her up into his arms. The entire scene sparkles with intensity as she looks up at him, realizing just how close they are. And in that surreal moment, she feels as if the world itself is whispering, he's that lucky man to have a woman like her in his life. Christina, however, is internally losing it. Her mind's a mess of question marks. What's going on? How did she get here? What is even happening to her life right now? Then bam, the scene snaps back to the present. Our female protagonist is back home, slumped on her couch after another long day at work. Exhaustion drips off her in waves. She's muttering under her breath about that jerk of a boss, who's always unreasonable, always pushing her past her limits. As a new graduate, she never had much of a choice. She needed the job, even if the company's vibe is totally toxic. Honestly, it's not even shocking anymore that more than half her coworkers have already quit. She pops open a can of beer with a sigh, the sound echoing in the silence of her tiny apartment. She takes a long sip, the bitterness grounding her as she thinks about how, somehow, she's gotten used to working like a total corporate slave. It's tough, no doubt about it, but she's found small joys here and there that make the grind a bit more bearable. Still, deep down, she can't help but wonder where exactly she took the wrong turn in her life. When did things start feeling so dull, so predictable, so meh? But then she shrugs it off. Whatever happens, happens. For once, she finally has a day off tomorrow, and that's all that matters. No alarms, no stress, just vibes. Her plan? Absolutely nothing. She's going to do nothing but drink, chill, and maybe stare at the ceiling until her brain resets. She flops down onto the floor, arms sprawled out, and with a half-drunken laugh, she mumbles about how amazing it would be to just start over. In a new world, maybe. A fresh life. A clean slate. And then fade to white. Her eyes blink open. Morning light floods the room. But wait, this isn't her room. The walls, the bed, the furniture, everything's completely different, all vintage and elegant, like something out of a historical drama. Confusion hits instantly. Her gaze drops to her hands and she freezes. Her fingers are long, slim, delicate. They were never this slim before. Panic bubbles up in her chest. The door bursts open, and a maid rushes in. The moment the maid sees her awake, she gasps in shock and stammers something about fetching someone immediately. The woman's eyes dart toward the mirror across the room. Slowly, hesitantly, she stands and stares at the reflection staring back at her. The face in the mirror is not hers. Her breath catches. Her pulse races. Her whole body trembles as realization sets in. She's looking at a completely different person. Why? Why is she seeing a different reflection in the mirror? She's sure of it. This has to be a dream. There's no other explanation. Her mind races at full speed, trying to piece together what's happening, but every thought feels heavier than the last. She recognizes this woman, the name, the reputation, everything. Christina. And not just any Christina, but that Christina, selfish, reckless, utterly unhinged. The kind of person who found joy in tormenting others. She bullied her servants, humiliated nobles of lower rank, lied whenever it benefited her, smuggled illegal goods, harassed her own fiancé, and basically committed every possible sin one could think of. In short, she was the type of woman everyone despised. The realization hits hard, like a punch to the chest. The current Christina blinks in disbelief, the thoughts spiraling in her head. Wait, no way. This has to be a joke. Because what she just saw in her mind, those memories weren't hers. They belonged to the original owner of this body, the real Christina. So it's true. Somehow, impossibly, she's possessed Christina's body. That part she can wrap her head around, sort of. But why now? Why did it have to happen after this woman had already wrecked her entire life through cruelty and arrogance? If this were one of those reincarnation or transmigration novels she used to read, it would have made sense. Those characters always took over lives that could still be fixed, with enough effort or luck. But this is like taking over a dumpster fire that's already been set ablaze. And the worst part? She doesn't even remember dying. There was no truck accident, no tragic ending, nothing. So what happened to her real body? Her thoughts are cut short when the maid returns, followed by a middle-aged man who looks like the royal doctor. He examines her carefully and asks how she's feeling. She mutters that her head hurts, her voice a little shaky. The doctor nods knowingly and explains that it makes sense. Apparently, she fell down the stairs. He adds that she doesn't seem to remember much of what happened before or after the incident. That, unfortunately, she's suffering from temporary memory loss. She blinks, playing along, pretending to process the information. He also notes how her way of speaking seems different, softer, calmer, far from the sharp-tongued tone Christina was known for. She quickly tries to cover for herself, forcing a polite smile and claiming that maybe she's just trying to be more ladylike. Inside, though, she's panicking. She needs a better excuse, something solid. Because if she were to blurt out the truth that she's actually not Christina at all, they'd immediately assume she's lost her mind. The doctor, thankfully, doesn't push further. He simply says he doesn't blame her for acting differently. After all, given what happened, it's perfectly natural for her to experience a sudden change of heart. Christina's eyes flick toward the maid standing nearby. The poor girl looks absolutely terrified, trembling just from being in the same room. And honestly, she can't even blame her. The original Christina had a reputation for being cruel to her servants. It's no wonder the girl can barely breathe around her now. Trying to sound calm, Christina asks the maid how long she's been asleep. The maid nervously replies 3 days. She had no external injuries, but she was completely unconscious that entire time. Before she can even process that, the door bursts open with a loud bang. A knight steps inside, his armor clinking sharply with every movement. His voice booms through the room as he announces, Marquis von Lucky's daughter, Lady Christina von Lucky. His Majesty has issued a strict order. You are to come with us to the Imperial Palace at once. Christina's mind blanks. The Imperial Palace? What kind of strict order is this supposed to be? The knight's tone hardens as he continues, declaring that what she did 3 days ago before her fall wasn't just a mere attempt. It was an offense. A serious one. And that this time, she won't be able to get away with her misdeed. Her stomach drops. 3 days ago. That's the day she fell down the stairs. The day everything changed. But she can't remember anything from that time. No action, no mistakes, no sins. Nothing but a blank void. So what the hell did the original Christina do? The Majesty announces that they had been expecting her, Lady Christina von Lucky. He believes she already knows why she has been summoned here today. But the young lady stands there frozen, fear flickering in her eyes as she stammers that she doesn't know. The Majesty can hardly believe it. A knight quickly steps forward to explain that Lady Christina had fallen down the stairs 3 days ago and claims she cannot remember what happened. The Majesty, clearly unimpressed, demands that she swear by her word. Surely, that's a good enough reason for such forgetfulness, isn't it? Before she can even respond, another voice cuts through the hall sharp and cold. Someone declares that even if her claim were true, it has nothing to do with the case at hand. Christina immediately recognizes the man who steps forward. Her pulse quickens. It's him, her ex-fiancé, and the prince of this kingdom, Prince Philip. Philip's tone is merciless as he insists that her supposed memory loss does not change the fact that she is still guilty. Christina, utterly confused, can barely find her voice as she asks, guilty of what? The answer hits her like a thunderclap. 3 days ago, around 2 in the afternoon, she allegedly attempted to push Baron Errol's daughter, Lady Priscilla Errol, down the stairs, but instead, she was the one who ended up falling. She had never been prosecuted, they say, because no one was actually harmed, and because she is the daughter of a marquis. However, that protection no longer shields her. Her time is up. The Majesty declares that she will now be charged with a misdemeanor. Christina's mind spins in disbelief. A misdemeanor? Attempting to push Lady Priscilla off the stairs. Her thoughts scatter. Priscilla, she's the girl who went from being a commoner to a noble after being adopted by the Baron. Christina remembers faintly the moments when the old Christina used to pick on her. Could it be true? Did she really try to get rid of Priscilla with her own hands simply because she disliked her? No, that's impossible. Christina would never take such a reckless risk. Her voice trembles as she tries to explain that there must be some kind of misunderstanding, but Philip immediately dismisses her plea, coldly insisting that she is wrong. A chill runs down her spine as she protests she didn't fall down the stairs, not like they're claiming. Things must be set straight before this goes any further. But her words only earn her sharp, distrustful glares from both the king and Prince Philip. The air grows heavy. It feels like she's completely surrounded by enemies. Desperation seeps into her tone as she finally asks what her sentence will be. The Majesty replies with chilling finality. Lady Priscilla was unharmed, yes, but they believe Christina is a dangerous individual. Therefore, from this day forward, she will be kept under constant watch by a royal guard to ensure she causes no further harm. And as those words echo through the grand hall, Christina feels her world close in around her, the weight of false memories and accusations pressing down like a storm she cannot escape. The knight standing beside the throne removes his helmet and steps forward, revealing his face. He tells the Majesty that starting today, Lady Christina von Lukey will be living with him. Christina's eyes widen in disbelief. Living with him? Does that mean he's going to keep an eye on her 24/7? Panicked, she blurts out a promise that she won't leave the house, but Philip immediately cuts in, his tone cold and mocking. He claims he knows her too well. She'll just end up bribing the servants. Yes, definitely something the real Christina would do. His words slice through her like knives, making her heart sink even deeper. Then Philip adds something far more chilling. He declares that he has full authority to execute her at any time, based on his own judgment. Christina feels the color drain from her face. This can't be real. Cedric, standing beside them, remains calm and collected, but his expression is unreadable. He assures the Majesty that they'll find out soon enough whether she's telling the truth about losing her memory. Soon after, Christina and Cedric are seen seated inside a carriage. The air between them is thick and silent, not a word exchanged. She sits stiffly, her thoughts spiraling. So it's up to me, she realizes bleakly, whether I'll live or die. After breaking off her engagement with Prince Philip, the man Christina had set her sights on next was none other than Cedric, the future Duke. And not without reason. He's incredibly handsome, powerful, and refined, the very image of nobility. Apparently, the old Christina had chased him relentlessly, acting dramatic and desperate to win his attention. But Cedric had only found her behavior irritating. In other words, her reputation with him isn't just bad, it's in the negatives. She's sure that if she causes even a hint of trouble again, Cedric wouldn't hesitate to kill her on the spot. When the carriage finally stops, Christina steps out with a weary sigh, thinking miserably about how unfair this new life feels. What did I even do to deserve such a hard mode in another world like this? Cedric extends his hand to help her down, his gesture unexpectedly polite. She hesitates, then takes it. He's being a gentleman even towards someone like her, a troublemaker he's been ordered to watch over. She quietly thanks him, touched in spite of herself. As they enter the estate, all the servants bow deeply to greet Cedric. Christina's jaw nearly drops. The place is enormous, probably twice the size of her own mansion. Of course, it makes sense. Cedric is the son of a duke, after all. He instructs the butler to take care of her before walking away. The butler bows and gestures for Christina to follow, but she can't help wondering anxiously if she's being led to a prison cell instead. To her surprise, they bring her to a beautifully furnished room. The butler explains that this will be her quarters, the Lily Room. Christina, trying to appear humble, assures them that she doesn't mind staying in a smaller one. The butler only smiles politely and tells her to ring the bell whenever she needs something. Her clothes, he adds, are already arranged neatly in the closet. Before leaving, he reminds her not to wander off and to remain in this room for now. His tone is courteous, but the message is clear: she's not a guest, she's being contained. When the door closes, Christina looks around and sighs softly. Of course, she thinks, I'm not a welcome guest here. The servants probably already know why I'm staying. This is basically my cell. Still, as she glances around, she notices the fine furniture, the silk sheets, and the elegant dresses hung in the wardrobe. For a cell, it's far too luxurious. Suddenly, a maid's voice startles her. Is something wrong? The girl asks, making Christina jump. The maid apologizes quickly, explaining that Christina didn't respond when she knocked. Christina, flustered, stammers that she was just surprised to see so many dresses. The maid blushes, apologizing again and saying she'll fetch even more outfit. Christina panics, waving her hands. It's enough. Really, it's more than enough. The maid blinks, then smiles gently and introduces herself as Hannah, Christina's personal maid. Christina greets her awkwardly, still unsure how to behave. Hannah explains in a calm voice that she may look unfriendly because she has weak facial muscles and can't smile well, so Christina shouldn't take it personally. Poor Christina can't help but wonder if she'll even survive in this place. Everything feels too formal, too intimidating, too unreal. Hannah then guides her politely toward the dining room, mentioning that Lord Cedric is already waiting for her meal to begin. Christina swallows hard, her nerves twisting into knots. Dinner with the man who might decide her fate. The table is laid out beautifully, each dish glistening under the golden light of the chandelier. Christina's eyes widen at the sight. It all looks so perfect, so delicious. This is a real treat, she thinks excitedly. In her real life, she would never have been able to enjoy something this luxurious. As she reaches for her fork, she suddenly feels Cedric's gaze on her. The air seems to freeze. She flinches, nearly choking on her food. Why is he staring at me like that? Did she do something wrong? After a long, tense pause, Cedric finally speaks, his tone even. He remarks that he can see she seems to be enjoying her meal. Christina quickly nods, forcing a smile and replying that yes, it's absolutely delicious. The silence that follows is unbearable, stretching endlessly between them. Desperate to ease the awkwardness, she thanks him for the wonderful clothes and the beautiful room he prepared for her. Cedric merely shakes his head, saying it's nothing. He reminds her that although she is indeed a criminal, that doesn't change the fact that she's a guest staying under his roof. His words surprise her. She had expected to be treated harshly, maybe even locked away. But instead, he's being civil, kind, even. Cedric then excuses himself, telling her to continue her meal at her own pace before leaving the room. Christina exhales slowly, feeling a small wave of relief. All right, she thinks, let's come up with a plan. She's still under house arrest, which means she's cornered. To avoid dying, I'll have to start acting like a proper noble lady, she decides determinedly. But then another thought hits her. Wait, what do noble women even do all day? She frowns, tapping her chin. Don't tell me, they just sit around doing nothing? The idea horrifies her. She's not the type to stay still. If she's going to survive here, she'll need to stay busy and maybe even change her reputation along the way. The scene shifts to later that day. Cedric finds her in one of the hallways, broom in hand, busily sweeping the floor. His brow furrows. What on earth are you doing? Christina glances up innocently, explaining that of course she's cleaning. But Cedric isn't amused. His voice sharpens as he points out that's not what he's asking. He wants to know why she's cleaning. Christina straightens up, brushing dust from her skirt. She admits that she's doing it because she's bored. Cedric blinks, confused. What does being bored have to do with cleaning? She sighs, resting the broom against her shoulder, and replies with a half-smile that she's the kind of person who needs to keep herself busy. She's a total workaholic. She gets restless if she's not doing something productive. Cedric just stares at her, baffled. None of this makes sense. The Christina he knew used to push her servants around, laughing as they worked themselves to exhaustion while she did nothing. This woman before him seems completely different. He narrows his eyes, trying to read her. Finally, he asks what's really going on with her. Christina's expression softened. She admits that, yes, she was bored, but also that she wanted to make up for her past wrongdoings, even a little. Cedric blinks again, caught off guard. He never imagined she still possessed a shred of guilt. Inside, Christina feels a flicker of determination. She has finally come to my senses, she thinks. Nothing can erase her past evil deeds, but at least she can try to do something for someone, anything good. Cedric's lips twitch slightly as he watches the faint spark of sincerity in her eyes. After a moment, he sighs, turning away. Suit yourself, he mutters. After all, if she's volunteering for manual labor, there's no reason to stop her. And so he leaves her there, broom in hand, sweeping the grand halls of the Duke's mansion. Christina von Lucke, the once infamous noble villainess, now trying to atone in the most unexpected way possible. Although he's sure she'll get sick and tired of it in no time, the butler agrees that he is absolutely right. So, Cedric decides he'll have Hannah look after her. Christina grows gloomy. She had been hoping he'd change his mind about her if he saw that she had turned over a new leaf. But, how dare she think that? Still, she's determined to prove herself, certain that soon he'll be praising her for all her hard work. 1 month later, a maid asks where she should place a certain set, and Christina tells her to put it in the annex. Another maid approaches to discuss something, but before she can, Hannah chimes in with a grin, saying that Christina's cleaning skills are literally unparalleled. So can she, go take a nap already? It's been a month since she came here, and she has totally mastered the servant's duties. Maybe she actually is a good fit for working here. But there are things she's discovered during her stay that are low-key weird. First, this mansion is oddly understaffed. But that's because Cedric doesn't like living with too many people under the same roof. Second, Cedric's grandfather, the current Duke, is in his late years and hardly ever leaves his room. Because of that, rumors are going around that Cedric will soon take over his position. And lastly, she cannot use magic. That's right, there's actual magic in this world. But she can't use it, at all, because Christina has 0 mana. She just sits there, crying her eyes out, Feeling like this is beyond heartbreaking. Her eyes drift to something on a tree, and she's sure this will be a piece of cake even if she can't use magic. She hops onto the tree and notices a piece of paper carved or stuck against it. It's a sketch of Cedric. Down at the bottom, the name Sebastian is written. She wonders if this Sebastian is the butler. As she's thinking, she looks back and her heart jumps. It's Cedric. He's walking right toward this side. She panics. She cannot let him see this. She has to hide somewhere anywhere. But before she can, her leg trips, and she tumbles forward, crashing right into him. She stammers an apology, eyes wide, realizing up close that he's seriously got a pretty face. Cedric's hand grabs hers, firm and unyielding, and in a blur, he pushes her down, his weight hovering above her as he ends up on top. He immediately moves away, flustered, insisting that it was just his conditioned reflex as a knight. If an enemy mounts on top of someone during battle, it could be dangerous, so his instincts just kicked in. Christina, standing outside afterward, mutters that she gets it, though, honestly, she really doesn't. When he asks her what she means by that, she just bows quickly and runs off, blurting, "Nothing," thanks him for his time, before darting away like her life depends on it. Her thoughts spiral. This isn't good for her heart at all. She presses her hands to her chest, her face still red. The scene cuts to Sebastian, who eyes Cedric curiously and asks what's wrong with him. Cedric raises a brow, confused. Sebastian smirks and points out that Cedric's cheeks are a bit red. Cedric brushes it off immediately, saying it's nothing, while Sebastian quietly makes a mental note he's definitely sketching this later. Cedric changes the subject, stating flatly that he's heading out and telling Sebastian to take care of the house while he's gone. He's going to the Imperial Palace. He has to give his regular report about Christina. At the palace, Philip meets him with a sharp gaze and immediately asks if he was able to find out where Christina hid it. Cedric replies, "Not yet." Philip's tone turns mocking, asking what exactly he's been doing this whole time. He's been living with her for a month now. Cedric simply mentions what he wrote in his last report, that she's acting like a servant and trying to make up for her sins. Philip scoffs, clearly unconvinced, wondering if Cedric actually believes that. He reminds him they don't have time to waste. He orders Cedric to find out where she hid the grimoire as soon as possible. They can't keep covering up that it's gone missing. The grimoire, an artifact left behind by the great sorcerer who supposedly created this world. There's an old legend surrounding it, called the Grimoire of Havoc. The legend claims, the world shall come to an end if an outsider, other than the Chosen One, opens the book. But is the legend true? Was there really ever such a person called the Chosen One? No one knows for sure. Everything about it remains shrouded in mystery. The book disappeared even while it was under tight security, and the only clue they have is a witness who swears they saw Christina leaving the room. That made her the #1 suspect on the list. But Cedric reasons that an eyewitness alone isn't solid enough proof to arrest her. They need something more concrete. Besides, her family is incredibly overprotective, and he can't afford to damage his relationship with them any further. Things already went south when he broke off his engagement with her. That's exactly why Philip is relying on Cedric's help now, because she was always highly interested in Lord Cedric. After all, surely getting to know her should be an easy task. But seeing Cedric go quiet, Philip raises a brow, wondering what's up with him. What exactly does he have to do to actually get to know her? Coughing slightly after sipping his tea, Philip smirks and says he's gotta start small, maybe give her some presents, have meals with her, and, oh, definitely put a smile on that face while interacting with her. You know, something like that. He's half teasing, half serious. Still, Philip can practically see the future and tells Cedric to just try his best. Back in the carriage, Cedric stares out the window, deep in thought. Philip's words replay in his head. Does he really think she'd actually have a change of heart? It's Christina they're talking about, after all. But when he remembers seeing her, she looked like she was diligently working against something totally out of character for the Christina he knew. Could it be that she's an imposter? No, they've already confirmed she's the real Christina von Lukey. Still, she's not the woman he once knew. She hasn't been selfish even for a moment. In fact, the way she moves around tirelessly, it's like watching a small animal scurrying to gather food before winter. And he can't take his eyes off her. He frowns at himself. What's gotten into him? Has he seriously become attached to her just from watching her work so much? The thought makes him sigh. That was the moment he saw her again, hopping up on a tree, reaching for that piece of paper. The moment before she fell, he dashed forward, faster than he intended, desperate to catch her. Remembering her flushed face, he's certain now she's not the same person she used to be. The scene shifts back to Christina, who stands in total confusion, staring at the glittering jewelry and fine clothes laid out before her. She turns to Hannah, completely bewildered, demanding to know what the hell all this is. Hannah beams and replies cheerfully that they're presents for her from Lord Cedric. She thinks about the fact that he's sending her presents, and honestly, it actually creeps her out. Like, why'd he give her presents when it's not even his birthday? She doesn't get it, and it freaks her out. Hannah wonders if maybe, just maybe, he fell in love with her, although Christina highly doubts it. She points out that even Hannah doesn't get why he's giving her these random gifts. The only thought that makes sense in her head is, wait, is she going to die? Are these her farewell gifts? She wonders if maybe it's because of what happened the other day. Then, a sudden knock hits the door. It's Cedric. She can't believe he's actually here. He asks about the presents, and she's thrown off by what he even means by that. His gaze alone makes her blurt out that she sure loves them, but he calmly assures her that she can just throw them away if she doesn't like them. She trembles a little, trying to explain that it's not that she doesn't like them. She's just not sure if she can even use all of them. That aside, he casually adds that from now on, they should eat together. Every single meal. And so, here they are having their meal together. She remembers this awkward silence, one that hangs in the air heavier than the fancy chandelier above them. She can't help but stare at him, wondering if there's something he wants from her. But apparently, not really. Though if there must be something, he just wants to spend time with her. That's all he wants. She gulps. Does that mean he? No way. Impossible. She's Christina the selfish, mean girl. There's no way, right? Yet Cedric smiles, looking weirdly content. It's almost soft. He says it's nice eating freely with someone like this. She starts to wonder if he's always been eating alone in this huge, spacious dining room. The thought makes her chest feel oddly heavy. Later, we see Hannah brushing Christina's hair while Christina keeps questioning why Cedric suddenly wants to eat with her all the time. He's already constantly watching her during work, so she's sure he's seen enough of her by now. Hannah half jokes that maybe he decided to follow her around. Christina sighs but can't tell if she's kidding or not. It's hard to say. But one thing's for sure, he really just seems to want to get to know her. Christina believes that it's impossible, there's just no way. But then again, maybe she was being kind of rude to him. After all, she's been avoiding him as much as possible. Now that it looks like this is going to be her home from now on, she figures it's time to stop running away. No more awkward dodging in the hallways, no more fake excuses. She decides she's going to do her best to actually become friends with him. During their next meal together, she gathers her courage and casually asks where his parents are. He answers bluntly they're dead. The words hit like a slap. She freezes, speechless, and before she can say anything else, he gets up and leaves. The moment the door shuts, she slams her head lightly against the table, groaning. Nice going, Christina. You totally screwed up. She's sure she crossed a line this time. Instead of getting closer to him, she's only managed to make things worse. Feeling guilty, she decides to go find him and apologize properly. But when she opens the door, she runs into Sebastian instead. Panicked, she starts explaining everything, how she asked about Cedric's parents, how it went wrong, and how she feels awful about it. Sebastian listens patiently and then says he doesn't mind explaining about Lord Cedric's parents if she truly wants to know. But he pauses, eyeing her carefully, and asks if she's sure she wants to dig into his personal life. Christina takes a deep breath. She just promised herself she wouldn't avoid Cedric anymore. She wants to understand him better, to actually connect with him. Besides, when he answered her earlier, he looked a bit sad. That small flicker in his eyes told her there's more behind his silence. So she nods. She's sure. Sebastian gives a faint grin before beginning his story. He explains that Lord Cedric's parents were married purely for political reasons. After his mother gave birth to him, both of them started dating other people freely. The Duke, Cedric's grandfather, couldn't stand how the boy was being treated, so he adopted him as his own son. But the Duke was awfully strict, raising Cedric not as a beloved grandson but as a successor and heir. Not long after, a tragic accident occurred. Cedric's parents lost their lives during a carriage ride. From then on, Cedric grew up without ever learning how to love or be loved. Sebastian's voice softens as he says that Cedric's heart seems to be filled with sorrow, or at least, that's how it feels to him. Christina listens quietly, her chest tightening. She can kind of understand that feeling of loneliness, that emptiness behind the mask. She's known that too. As Sebastian leaves, he glances back at her and thinks, let's hope this leads to something good. The next day, there's a gentle knock at Cedric's door. He opens it, and there she is, Christina. He allows her to step inside, her hands clasped nervously around something. She says softly that there's something she wants to give him. She goes and presents him with a small gift, saying she's sorry about yesterday. He's taken aback for a moment, surprised by her gesture, but quickly assures her that no, his decision to leave the table like that was also immature of him. She argues back, insisting that she should be the one to apologize. She overstepped by intruding into his personal affairs, after all. He sighs helplessly, telling her to at least stop lowering her head like that. She looks up, relieved, her eyes brightening when he finally asks what the gift is. She says the cookies are perfect, but they're definitely tasty. She made them especially for him. He can't believe it. She actually made them just for him? That simple statement hits deeper than he expects. What she wanted from her parents when she was young. Back then, when little she asked where her parents were going, they'd always say, it's her brother's big day. And she was old enough to stay home by herself. One day, she went up to her mom, holding out a picture she drew just for her. But her mom only smiled and said they were celebrating her big brother's achievement and that she had to cook. Be a good girl and don't bother me. Even her brother would tell her to go away. He got the whole cake, and she got a small piece. A cookie won't change anything, but still. He takes a bite and admits that it's actually really good. She smiles, relieved and glowing, saying she's glad he likes it. Seeing her face light up like that makes his eyes widen unconsciously. His heartbeat stutters, and before he realizes it, his cheeks start to flush. Later, back in her room, she can't stop smiling. Thank God, he liked her cookies. She thinks that maybe, just maybe, they've gotten a little closer to each other. Her heart begins to throb, but suddenly the feeling twists into pain. She stumbles, clutching her chest, the world spinning around her before she collapses to the floor. The scene shifts. She's lying in bed now, pale and unconscious. The doctors shake their heads, saying there's nothing they can do. Cedric's voice trembles as he says he's useless and tells Sebastian to bring another doctor immediately. But the doctors look uneasy and clarify that what they meant was it's not their area of expertise. She's going through something far beyond normal understanding. A man with white hair steps forward, sharp-eyed and calm. He says it's a mana rampage. Of course they wouldn't know, it's extremely rare. His tone carries weight, the kind that silences the room. Then he turns to Cedric and adds that he knows Cedric is a royal wizard and a genius. And in that moment everything shifts, the tension, the fear, and the cold realization that this is no ordinary illness. He never once imagines that he would be ordering someone around like this. Since when is this person even treated like royalty? Cedric glares, furious and blunt, demanding to know what is wrong with her. The white-haired wizard reads the room and, with a clinical calm, explains why the man has no friends. Mana rampage is exactly what it sounds like, a massive surge of mana gone feral inside a body. They still do not know what triggers it. What they do know is brutal. It is excruciating. It feels as if the body is being ripped apart, and breathing becomes a fight. In severe cases the pain overwhelms everything and it can lead to death. Cedric clenches his hands and protests that Christina cannot possibly possess any mana. The wizard shrugs off the objection. Despite that, her symptoms match a mana rampage perfectly. Cedric, panicked and demanding, asks how they can save her. The wizard lays out the only option. They can forcibly stop the mana's chaos by pouring his own mana into her system. If the mana circulates properly, she will wake up. It is a dangerous maneuver for any mediocre mage, but, surprise, he is no mediocre mage. Cedric, half relieved but still raging, orders him to hurry and do it. The wizard pauses and flips the question back like a blade. He never said he would cure her. Does Cedric even want to save her? She is a criminal. Who would care if she dies? The wizard taunts that Cedric himself seemed fed up with her clinginess before. Cedric is stunned at the suggestion that he might let Christina die. The thought is unbearable. He still needs her to reveal where she hid the grimoire, and beyond that he cannot forget her face. With that, he commands the mage to save her. The mage's expression shifts in a way that makes Cedric realize there is more going on inside him than professional duty. He had thought himself indifferent, but something flickers in his eyes, curiosity, maybe something Messier. The scene fractures and Christina slips in and out of consciousness, lost in a haze. She wonders where she is and thinks she only fainted. Panic climbs her throat. The idea of dying terrifies her. How could they do this to her when she was only trying to blend into this insane world? A voice calls to her and she lashes out, asking who that person is. A woman pulls back a hood and welcomes her as if greeting someone returned from the brink, calling her by name. Christina stammers apologies and the woman, gentle but firm, addresses her as the saintess. Christina's mind scrambles. Is this mercy, manipulation, or something else entirely? She is utterly confused. What is this girl even talking about? None of it makes sense to her at all. The lady standing before her claims she knows everything about Christina. Christina wonders how that's even possible and asks if they've met before. Then, the lady pulls something out, her voice calm yet distant, saying that she's returning this to her something very important to her. Christina frowns, because she's never seen anything like it before in her life. Just as confusion deepens, she flinches. The lady's body starts fading, disappearing right before her eyes. Before vanishing completely, the lady's voice echoes faintly, telling Christina that from here on out, she must not surrender. Christina panics, shouting for the lady to stop, demanding to know what she means by from here on out. Her voice trembles as she cries out, asking if the woman is even still alive. A calm voice answers her, then the wizard. He assures her that the lady certainly is. Christina turns sharply to look at him, startled and still shaken, while he introduces himself with a smirk. His name is Cyril, a royal wizard, and apparently, she's Christina, the troublemaker. She blinks in disbelief, trying to piece everything together. Why on earth is a royal wizard in her room? Cyril explains that she's been going through a mana rampage, a rare sickness that affects people who have too much mana stored inside them. Christina interprets that instantly, confusion still swirling, because she's always believed her body doesn't possess any mana at all. Cyril chuckles and says she didn't before. But now, for some reason, she does. Her thoughts race. Could it be because of that weird dream? Cyril, watching her expression shift, explains that his mana is currently keeping hers from going wild, but if things continue like this, she might actually die. That makes her jolt, her breath hitching, panic flashing across her face. Cyril laughs softly, poking her playfully, reminding her that's exactly why he's here for her. And right at that moment, the door bursts open. Cedric storms into the room, calling her name. His voice is frantic, his steps heavy with worry. He rushes straight to her side, relief washing over him the instant he sees her awake. Christina, still a little dazed, forces a small smile and teases him lightly, asking if he was worried about her. Cedric exhales hard, admitting that of course he was, because she's been asleep for 3 whole days. People usually wake up after just one, and everyone's been worried sick. Christina's eyes widen. 3 days? No way. She can't believe she's done it again, slept that long without even realizing it. It's definitely because of that weird dream. Christina knows it deep down. Sebastian, however, is just relieved. Honestly, it's great that she finally woke up. Hannah, still curious, asks if that weird tornado in their room earlier was the result of magic, specifically Lord Cyril's doing. Cyril, with a proud grin, confirms happily that yes, it was his magic, and admits it was pretty cool, right? Sebastian, dead serious, points out that it also broke one of their furniture pieces, so the wizard better pay for it. But Cyril immediately changes the topic, saying they should check on Christina first. When she notices the way he's staring at her, she nervously asks if something's wrong. He replies that nothing's wrong. Well, not exactly. In fact, it looks like she can use white magic now. Everyone in the room freezes. White magic? What even is that? Cyril chuckles, realizing none of them have any idea. He explains that white magic can only be used by those blessed by the power of the moon. Sebastian raises a brow, confused. The power of the moon? But aren't there supposed to be only 4 great elements in magic? Poor Christina can't keep up at all. They're literally speedrunning this conversation without her. She waves her hands, calling them out, admitting that she's never used magic before. Zero knowledge, total newbie. So could they please explain it like she's a little kid? Cyril humors her, saying sure, and begins his lecture. He explains that 80% of people in the world are born with a small amount of mana. Those with low mana can only use simple spells, so most people don't bother with magic at all and rely on tools instead. He even points at Cedric, saying he can only flick a tiny flame like a matchstick. That's how most people are. Christina stares blankly at him, thinking to herself that this wizard probably won't live long with how freely he teases others. Cyril continues anyway, explaining that 10% of people don't possess any mana at all, just like she didn't before. And the remaining 10% are those born with excessive amounts of mana, like him. But having mana doesn't mean you can instantly cast strong spells. Mastering it takes time and effort. Christina sighs, realizing that magic isn't as glamorous as she thought it'd be. Cyril grins knowingly, teasing that he can tell exactly what she's thinking. He continues explaining that those born with mana are all blessed by one of the 4 great elements: fire, water, wind, or land. She quickly points out that he said she was blessed by the moon, and he nods. Correct. She's blessed by the power of the moon, something beyond the 4 great elements. He admits he's only ever read about it in books himself. Then, he asks her to give him her hand. When she does, he instructs her to imagine something coming out of her palm. She hesitates but focuses in, to everyone's shock. Flowers bloom right there from her touch. The room falls silent, everyone stunned. Cyril smiles in satisfaction, confirming that just as he suspected, she can use magic that heals or supports others. It's hard for everyone to wrap their heads around it, but Christina beams with excitement. So, she's like a special healer in a game? That's actually kind of awesome. Cyril claps his hands together, saying that from now on, they'll start teaching her how to control her own mana because who knows when it might go wild again and knock her out cold. Christina, still a little unsure, asks if he really thinks she can do it. Cyril reassures her confidently that it'll be fine because he'll be her personal coach. After all, he's the master of magic. Cedric immediately cuts in, protesting that he can teach her too. Cyril scoffs, crossing his arms, saying Cedric's only good with swords, and sorry, but he seriously doubts he can handle it. What's next? He mocks. Is he planning to teach her how to be a matchstick? Cedric fires back, asking if Cyril's fine with her suffering and pain again then. That shuts Cyril up for a second but only briefly. Cyril grins and admits there's something about Christina that really tickles his curiosity. He then ushers everyone out of the room, announcing that he's about to start her first lesson in magic manipulation. After a bit of resistance, he finally gets everyone to leave. Christina, left alone with him, feels excitement bubbling inside her. Finally magic lessons. She's practically glowing as she nods eagerly. He steps closer with a small smile, agreeing to start, but before that, she pauses and looks at him seriously, asking the one question still burning in her mind, just who is she, really? Christina panics and, oh no! He knows something. And if he ever finds out that she came from a different world, she's doomed. Cyril looks at her calmly, his tone light yet sharp, and says that the quality of her soul has completely changed since the last time he saw her. Christina doesn't understand what he means at first until he explains it in that annoyingly logical way of his. They already know, he says, what kind of seeds bloom from what kind of flowers. The quality of mana depends on that soul. As such, Christina's body once had a seed that would never sprout. But not anymore. Which means she's a different person now. She might be able to trick everyone else, but not him. The pressure in his gaze practically demands that she hurry up and confess. And so shaking, overwhelmed, she spills the whole truth. Cyril finds it absolutely fascinating. He knew she was someone else inside, but hearing that she actually came from a different world? That's new, even for him. He's never heard of anything like it before. Christina begs him to please keep this between the two of them. Cyril assures her that he hates drama and conflict just as much as she does, but in exchange, he wants to look into her mana, all the way down to the core. Her eyes widen. Is he going to confine her after all? He laughs, half joking but only half. Because it's true that she needs to learn how to control her mana, and he's the only one who can teach her. In other words, he'll have plenty of time to examine it. Then he asks, with pure curiosity, how much mana she had in her original world. Christina replies softly that it was a world without any magic at all. That makes him even more curious about the source of her mana. A spirit that cannot use magic, yet has mana? Or is it because there simply isn't enough information? He asks if she'll tell him more about the world she came from later. This man really loves magic like, way too much. But first, he insists she must be trained. Because if she dies from a mana rampage, he won't get to hear her stories anymore. A month later, Christina is lying flat on the floor, completely exhausted. Cyril, apparently, is the strict and athletic type, of course he is. He claps his hands, satisfied, saying that she's improved a lot. And honestly, she can feel it too. She's finally starting to understand how to manipulate her mana. Mana rampage shouldn't be an issue anymore now that she's gotten the hang of it. Christina is over the moon. Finally, her days of suffering are about to end. She can almost taste freedom. But then, Cyril drops the bomb on her with a smile that's way too casual for the chaos he just unleashed. He says that now, they'll start training so she can work as a royal wizard. Her smile freezes. Cedric immediately notices and sighs, saying that it looks like she really doesn't want to. He tells Cyril to just leave if he's done training her. Cyril chuckles, saying what a shame, but he'll be back. He will come to see her again. After all, he has to make sure she's doing okay. If she slacks off, she'll forget how to control her mana. Magic takes way more effort than she thought it would. Cedric, however, knows exactly what Cyril's real deal is. He's just looking for an excuse to hang around and spoil himself. The man basically did whatever he wanted while he was here anyway. Still, Cedric admits that Cyril's serious about her. He even jokes that the two of them probably wouldn't ever get tired of each other if they were together for 10 lifetimes. Christina glares at him, flustered, telling him to stop it already. Cyril's just curious about her mana, nothing else. But Cyril, as if proving her wrong, turns to Cedric and casually asks her to patch up his arm just to test how much magic she can use now. Cedric blinks in surprise and asks how Cyril even knew about his injury. Cyril smirks, saying that he saw it happen the moment Cedric got hurt while checking his subordinate's swordcraft. He teases Cedric that he never gets hurt, so maybe he was distracted by something or someone. Cedric's eyes dart straight to Christina. Cyril grins, pushing him to show his hand to her. After all, healing magic is rare, and he's lucky enough to see it in person. Christina gently unwraps the bandage. The scar looks painful, and she winces just looking at it. Cedric tries to play it cool, saying it's nothing he's had worse, but there's no way he isn't in pain. She bites her lip and focuses, determined to heal him. A brilliant light blooms from her hands, washing over his wound. The healing power is so intense that even Cyril is momentarily speechless. Then his eyes widen. Wait, why does Cedric look this shiny? Without hesitation, Cyril rushes forward and orders Cedric to take off his shirt immediately. Christina's face turns crimson as Cedric stares at him in disbelief. Cyril leans closer to her, his voice dripping with awe, and tells her that she went completely overboard. Not just his arm, she even healed all of his old scars. Looks like she still can't control her power properly. But even so, it's far more magnificent than anything Cyril has ever read about in his books. He laughs softly and mutters that she might actually be a monster in human form. Meanwhile, somewhere else, another scene unfolds. A man is seen reading a letter. The letter says, perhaps she's regretting her past action, and Christina is now quiet as if she's becoming a new person. It's a letter from Philip, who writes that he'll let him know if anything happened. The man scoffs after reading it, muttering that someone like her wouldn't even know what regret means. There's no way she'd ever do such a thing. He growls under his breath, folding the letter with a tight grip, declaring that he'll go see for himself, so she'd better brace herself. Cyril sits there with a perfectly satisfied smile, happily munching away at his dessert like it's the best thing in the world. She watches him, completely taken aback. She honestly can't believe this man is such a total sweet tooth. It's almost adorable. He notices her surprised look and smirks, casually saying that he's not just eating sweets for fun, it's his way of converting sugar into mana. She blinks, unsure whether to take that seriously, when Cedric cuts in from across the table. He tells her flatly not to believe him because he's obviously lying. She can't help but laugh quietly to herself. The air feels lighter somehow. Ever since Cyril arrived, the entire atmosphere around the group has become so much more lively, chaotic even, but in a weirdly entertaining way. Cedric's gaze shifts toward her plate, and his brow twitches the second he spots something untouched. He tells her not to be a picky eater and to finish her vegetables. She sulks a little, poking at the bland orange peel. Honestly, they taste like cardboard. But under Cedric's watchful eyes, she obediently starts chewing, trying to look unbothered. As she does, a bit of sauce smudges on her cheek without her noticing. Cedric leans forward without hesitation, his hand reaching up to wipe it off for her. The moment his fingers brush against her skin, her entire face turns crimson. And of course, that's exactly when Cyril pipes up from the side, his grin all too mischievous as he teases them. He points out how interesting it is to see her still here, watching Cedric act like that. Flustered, she quickly tries to defend herself, insisting that Cedric was just being polite. But Cyril just laughs, shaking his head. He says that in all the years he's known Cedric, he's never seen that stubborn man do something so gentle for anyone. Ever. Cedric immediately snaps back. That wasn't kindness, he insists. It was called manners. The tension between them rises instantly. The two men lock eyes like they've been waiting for an excuse to argue. She sits between them, watching the situation spiral as they start bickering back and forth. Cedric complains that Cyril is always doing whatever he pleases without considering anyone else, while Cyril shoots back that Cedric is just mad because he's too uptight. Then Cyril smirks and hits him with the real punchline. He says that Cedric's problem isn't really about manners or behavior. It's jealousy. He doesn't like how Cyril is close to Christina. The entire table goes silent. She freezes, her heart thudding against her chest, unsure how to even react. And then Cyril, looking way too smug for his own good, drops the final bomb. He says that if Cedric's going to keep pretending, then he should at least know one thing: Cyril likes her too. And he's not planning to back off. Her face turns bright red. Cedric stiffens, his expression unreadable for a moment. Then, without saying much, he stands, muttering that he has things to take care of, and excuses himself from the table. Cyril, seeing his reaction, can't resist throwing in one last jab as Cedric walks away. He calls out with a grin, saying that there's nothing uglier than a jealous man. Cedric stops for half a second, his shoulders tense, but he doesn't turn back. He just leaves, the door closing sharply behind him. She turns to Cyril, frustration bubbling over. She practically jumps out of her seat, scolding him for making everything so awkward. Why did he have to push it that far? Now Cedric probably hates her even more. He already didn't like her from the start after all. The original Christina had been constantly all over him, shameless and clingy. What if this ruins whatever little progress she's made so far? Her chest tightens with worry. The thought of Cedric starting to hate her again makes her heart sink completely. Cyril insists that it's the truth and that he should examine her now that Cedric's gone. She's pissed. Absolutely not. No way. Meanwhile, Cedric is in the shower, steam curling around him as he leans against the tiled wall, deep in thought. He's been trying not to think about it, but Cyril's words echo in his mind. Is he jealous? The idea hits him like a spark, and he immediately shakes his head, slapping his cheek lightly to snap out of it. What nonsense. Why would he even feel that way? She's a criminal, for crying out loud. He must remember that. He tells himself firmly that his only goal is to make her talk to find out where she hid the grimoire. That's it. That's why he's trying to get close to her. Nothing else. Still, as the warm water runs down, a quiet sigh escapes him. He knows he should just focus on writing his report.